So for this week's Team Application Excel activity, I'm looking at the rubric, and actually whenever you have an assignment that has a rubric, I recommend that you check the rubric to make sure you're doing everything that is required on the assignment. So for this rubric, the first item says the correct cost, revenue, and profit equations are included on the spreadsheet. So I have created my own spreadsheet that has the cost equation, revenue equation, and profit equation. And the place that you find this is in this week's team project lesson. On this page, you have the profit equation and the revenue and cost equations. On this page also, they let you know that when you're solving an equation, X will equal the number of units sold. And there are 2 videos about finding the equation of the profit line and about graphing the line in Excel. They are fabulous videos. If you have not seen them, please stop watching my video and go watch those first. They explain how to do what I'm going to show you. My goal of this video is to just show you where the numbers come from as far as your team assignment goes, and just how to double check your assignment. So make sure you watch these videos. So back to our equations. So I need to find out my cost. Well, my cost is going to be Y. I need to find out my fixed cost and my variable cost. To do that, I go back to the assignment that we completed last week. And for last week, here I put in some fake numbers. These are not the numbers that you will have. Your team calculated all of these costs. For me, I put in a pretend number of 4,000 for fixed costs, and I put in a pretend number for my price and my percentage of demand. My variable cost is correct for a neighborhood or for an event, and my formula is correct on this, but again, the totals are different. But these amounts will help me show you what we're going to do. So here I have my fixed cost at 4,000 and my variable cost at 30 cents. So I go back to my cost equation and I do cost, or Y, equals my fixed cost, 4,000, plus my variable cost, 0.30, and number of units sold. We know again from right here, let X equal the number of units sold, 0.30X. And now I want to write it in Y equals mx plus b in the slope-intercept form. So I would do Y equals 0.30x plus 4,000. You don't really have to do that, but I think it makes it easier. Now, if we did want to calculate the cost, we could very easily do that because we know the number of units sold. We figured that out last week. But right now we're trying to graph a line, and so we're not really figuring out the exact costs. So we're making lines right now. And so now the revenue equation is price times number of units sold. So I go back here and I decided on 150 a cup for my price. And again, units of numbers sold, I know it, but we're using X because we're creating equations here. So Y equals my price 150 times the number of units sold, or Y equals 150X. My profit is revenue minus my cost. So Y equals, here's my revenue, 1.50x minus my cost, 0.30x plus 4,000. And I keep that in a parentheses, and I put that together because it's a unit. Now using this distributive property, and again, this is explained on those other videos, Y equals 1.50x minus 0.30x minus 4,000. 1.50x minus 0.30x is Y equals 1.20x minus 4,000. So that is our equation for the line that will show us the profit equation. So that's what we're going to use. So now I go back and I look at my rubric. I have all the correct cost, revenue, and profit equations. So I have all of them on my spreadsheet. And now I'm going to make a graph using a table of values. So I'm going to have my X and my Y value here. And with X, I always like to start with 0. And with y, I'm going to input this equation right here. So I would type equals 1.20 times, so an asterisk, and then I click on the x value, and then I do minus 4,000, enter. And this is a really big number, and so I'm going to do larger increments on my graph here. So I'm going to just bring those numbers down. Make it really big, why not? And then here I will copy the formula down. So I have all my values here, and now to create my graph, I will just highlight these, insert, charts, scatter plot with a line, and here it is. Now the rubric also says that you need to include a title and label both axes. So make sure you do that. You do that here and here. But I want to look specifically at the graph. So something else on the rubric says that the y-intercept is equal to the annual fixed costs. So y-intercept is where it crosses the y-axis, and it happens right here at negative 4,000. Well, if you look back to last week's activity, that should match your fixed costs. So if it does, that's a very good thing. And then we look here at my break even is 3,333. So the x-intercept is equal to the break even point. So here I hit the x-intercept, and this line is a little, it's between 3,300 and 3,400, which is definitely 3,333. So I'm correct on that too. So I know from this graph and from my chart, from my calculations from last week, that my break-even unit is correct here and my fixed costs are correct. And I can look at more things on this chart and realize that anything past this amount sold is going to be profit. Anything under this amount sold will not be profit.